When Friedrich Nietzsche claimed God is dead, the world was sent into a panic. Some due to religious ties, and the others due to the intellectual thought that the highest thing you could strive for and center your life around is gone. Look, I'm stuck in an early 2000s poster of two fighting wolves inside me. One saying gaming has a fighting chance and the rebellious will never die, and the other saying that it's over. Who I am doesn't matter, but when I am does. So strap in as I take you back. Starting level 1 in 1993, a few years after the Roach King had already chugged his first Dr. Pepper 24 pack,
I almost wanted to have sex with dudes after watching this video.
I was given life and quickly found video games and the culture. Things were very different. For starters, it was more fashionable to smoke cigarettes than it was to play video games. Your favorite politicians tried killing Ed Boon, the man behind Mortal Kombat. Corporations targeted actual gamers at the time for marketing and not some fringe target group. Gamefly wasn't a monopoly on renting video games because it was normal not to own back then, and smoke-filled rooms mixed arcade fighters with slot machines for war veterans. Just don't go behind the curtain. Things were edgy, dark to a point. It would almost be called out as cringe, but it was kind of peak for the time. Gaming starts to hit households slowly more and more during this time, from lovely Nintendo characters, doom stomping on the NES, or deep diving into RPGs like Elder Scrolls and Diablo 1 or Fallout on the PC. The E3 Gaming Expo, a now retired relic of Ode, started to get its wheels going in 95. A true turning point in culture is even Michael Jackson, a cultural temple and zeitgeist at the time, way before everything else came out, showed up to partake. This was a place where gaming could show the best coming out and give no names to established companies a place to expose the world to the worlds that they had created. The FGC, or the fighting game community at the time, was still playing for $25 gift cards as top prize in tournaments, so long ago that Evo Moment 37 hadn't even begun yet. Streaming wasn't a thing. Hell, multiplayer wasn't even a thing if it wasn't a local thing. I remember watching the movie The Cable Guy with Jim Carrey. It was so chilling looking back at it now as he stood and proclaimed that one day we would be able to play Mortal Kombat with someone across the globe. Something that is now trivial and taken for granted. This wasn't just my childhood. It was the best time to be alive. To be the target audience of an emerging new media is something... Well, to be a target audience of an emerging new media as it's trying to get its footing is something I don't think many people get to experience. It's a real shooting star moment. As many things, it only got better. The Wild Wild West portions got roped in, and either by general consensus or by laws and regulations. Saying you played video games didn't get you laughed at anymore in most parts of the world, and now marketing executives took pride in the rivalries. The giants of today want to suck you off $30 a month to play games that I've lived through, or $160 a year to, again, suck you off for games that I used to play only because grandma bought them for me from Walgreens at the discount aisle. But these now hollowed out purple hair-led companies used to be giga-chads. The Xbox and PlayStation rivalry was so pivotal, there was no crossplay back in the day. All right? It was like picking a political party for kids. Your parents could single-handedly divide a school and determine what friend group you got to develop by what gaming system they bought you, with or without your input, really. And these companies knew this. They leaned into it to give you some of the best commercials, marketing, and tie-ins of the decades. Shit, I remember at one point watching Samurai Jack on Toonami, and you had the chance to call in and win a PlayStation 2. Eventually, this led to fast food getting in the mix, and that led to its own thing, and it's kind of worth its own video. But the short is that these gaming companies would do promotions with fast food and take console stances. Xbox at Taco Bell and Burger King, PlayStation at McDonald's. I mean, look, nothing was super loyal or set in stone. I mean, at one point, McDonald's had GameCube consoles at its locations, but it further drove a divide and kept gaming at the forefront of people's minds. Going back to the consoles for a second, you were either a needle-dick Halo lover on Xbox with your party chat and your achievements, or you were a soy boy trying to fight for the company that basically had no exclusives, no trophy, no party chat at the time, but also no fee for online play. PC players weren't left out. I mean, they ate good for the time, but it was very much looked at like being a pariah for not joining the console wars or having the knowledge to build a PC and then being heralded as a god. But the early 2000s were good to them. They had Diablo 2, The Sims, Counter-Strike, Escape from Monkey Island, Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic. Look, I can go on, okay? But trust me when I say they had access to something much better, which was Steam. I think that came out like 2003. It was now vogue to be a gamer. It became vogue. Communities started, local competitions started, forums for non-PC players kicked off. Grocery shopping didn't suck as a kid because you could go to the magazine aisle and find cheat code books or gaming, and it kind of lets you shut off the fact that they hit the second tower. Magazines weren't the only media now, though. I mean, publications started to hit. There had been a steady incline in gaming-focused TV shows, but by 2005, G4 had hit its prime time and had all kinds of goodies in it, like X-Play, Attack of the Show, cheats. In every facet of your child to teenage life, you could find where video games were making a run for you or your parents' money and time, and you were old enough to remember what life was like before that wave hit. So it became much more noticeable than it is today, where you're inundated with ads to the point that I can't go to the fridge and suck down my fifth hot dog without the fridge showing me an ad. In the back of your mind, if you're saying there's two other big things that happened during this time, is he going to mention it? Yes, I am. YouTube getting devoured by Google, and Justin.tv/Twitch. When I was growing up, watching Call of Duty quickscope edits to Linkin Park, horrible fights and car crashes, there's other media like Cats, but that was the it thing. Nobody was getting paid to do it. You just had people living for the fun of it. Justin TV started as kind of what the main category for Twitch is now, just a dude streaming and just chatting. The gaming section actually became so popular that that's what became Twitch. Eventually, no one wanted to watch people live in poverty like they did at the time, and they just shut down Justin TV and focused on Twitch, which is now a good mix of fat girls giving birth, skinny girls doing soft, wet dream content, gamers trying to decide to take the gambling contract or not, and one viewer streamers botting the way to the top. There is also the corporate sponsored streamers like Kai, but hell only has so many levels and God only gave me so many breaths to take. If I sound bitter, it's not because I didn't make it as a content creator. I'm never tried. I'm just bitter about the state of gaming as a whole. The same time streaming platforms are pushing nip-slip streamers and gambling, gaming developers are pushing transgender lesbian protagonists with regurgitated central themes, the 19th re-release cash grab because the company is creatively inhabitable and devoid of motivation. They're trying to squeeze my balls for every microtransaction Game Pass imaginable while finger plowing my UI with ads. I know where this goes, and at this trajectory, gaming will die. It'll be relegated to the kinds of hobbies people really don't talk about anymore, but know some people do, like playing with marbles or bird cataloging. E3 died due to the rise of individual companies shilling their products in the echo chamber and COVID, of course. G4 TV doesn't exist, and now replacing it are tons and tons of good and bad faith content creators, mainly on YouTube, which I can see as a positive, but because the media is sliced so many ways and creates so many micro communities, it's really hard to feel overly united on things. Streaming has been taken over by IRL content or just chatting, and though gaming absolutely has a presence in people like Queso, the challenge is bigger than his McDonald's order to lift that platform back to its former glory, where gaming wasn't just first priority, but felt like it was. It was the reason that Twitch existed in the first place. Game developers are starting to wake up, in the West at least, after the fifth flop in a row or billion-dollar loss of whatever politically focused game they tried to shit tanks. And I hope that tide holds, but for how long until we're back in the trenches? EA decided instead of challenging everything or being in the game, they'd give the keys to the Middle East, and I'm excited to see what they'll do to EA. I wonder if they'll do what Elon did to Twitter. While I've used some hyperbole over this, and the $503 billion industry won't just go away, my argument is that it's lost its soul. Corporate greed and clout chasing are always things we've had to deal with, but as a dumb kid, the companies also seemed smart enough to not show their hand and make me feel like because they did the things that they did, it was because they wanted to make gaming better as a media. In some ways, I feel like it's the Forbidden Grotto from the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Gaming is a utopia now, with there being more ways to socialize and connect, make money as a competitive gamer or as a content creator, and there are tons more ways to play games, and it's more accessible than it's ever been. But at the same time, it's like a hell torture chamber. Free games dominate markets with so much predatory microtransaction infections. Companies are heading to digital spaces so you can now own nothing, no more physical copies. The rise of online-only single-player games, where you battle the company to play the game a year after you bought it because the company wants to sunset it, and not to mention the constant price hikes. A new game now realistically trying to be pushed for $80 plus with DLC that's not additional content, but just some of the core content that they've locked behind a paywall. I don't think we need a great reset or a storm the capital of gaming developers' headquarters, but we do need more people fighting for the soul of gaming and its culture. I think that's it for now. I don't know. If you've made it to the end, I hope it wasn't a waste of your time. Let me know if you agree, and I'll see you online.